The warning they ignored. The stars shimmered cold and distant across the viewport of the Sovereign Might, flagship of the Vex Confederation's 9th Exploration Fleet. Admiral Zalkresh stood with his 4 arms clasped behind his back, his scaled skin catching the blue light from the ship's instruments. The Vex had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 cycles, their technological superiority unchallenged across 17 sectors. They had encountered predators before, aggressive species full of teeth and claws and primitive weapons, but none had survived first contact with a Vex battlecruiser. Admiral called his second-in-command, Sub-Commander Thrix. We've detected unusual energy signatures from the restricted solar system ahead. Kresh's vertical pupils narrowed. This system had been marked with ancient warning beacons, their origins unknown. Such mysteries were rare in the well-mapped galaxy, and the Vex Confederation did not tolerate unknowns. "Show me," he commanded. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the modest yellow star with 8 planets. The third planet, small blue-green and seemingly insignificant, pulsed with strange energy readings that defy classification. The beacons are in 17 languages, including 8 extinct ones. Thrix continued. They all convey the same message. Approach at your own peril. This system is under the protection of humanity. A ripple of amusement passed through the command crew. Humanity. The term was unfamiliar, but the implication was clear. Some primitive species had claimed this unremarkable system. How long have these warnings been in place? Kresh asked. Dating suggests approximately 500 cycles. Admiral. Kresh's mouth formed what passed for a smile among his kind. 500 cycles of isolation, while we've conquered 13 new sectors. Prepare the fleet. We will investigate this. Humanity. The Vex fleet approached cautiously, scanning for defenses as they passed the outer planets. They found nothing but automated mining operations on several moons. Primitive technology by Vex standards, but surprisingly efficient. When they reached the 4th planet, a dusty red world, they detected a settlement beneath a transparent dome. Surprisingly, it was inhabited. Life signs confirmed, reported the science officer. Approximately 5,000 vital organisms, oxygen breathers. Their technology appears inconsistent. Some aspects are primitive, while others are unexpectedly sophisticated. Kresh ordered communication channels opened. This is Admiral Zalkresh of the Vex Confederation. Your system is now under our authority. Submit, and you may continue to exist under our guidance. For several moments, there was silence. Then a response came through, a visual transmission showing a pale-skinned bipedal creature with dark hair tied back from its face. This is Director Ilara Chen of the Mars colony. The creature spoke in a calm, measured tone. We've been expecting you, Admiral. Kresh felt a flicker of surprise. You anticipated our arrival. Not yours specifically, Chen replied, but someone like you, eventually. The beacons were meant to deter you, but we knew curiosity would bring someone here someday. Then you understand your situation, Kresh said. Your colony will provide us with information about your species, and in return, we will grant you continued existence. Chen's expression remained unchanged. Before you proceed further into our system, I am obligated to warn you. Earth is protected. Its defenders have remained dormant for centuries, but they will awaken if threatened. A low rumble of laughter spread across the bridge. These humans spoke of defenders, yet their colony existed in a fragile bubble on a hostile planet. We appreciate your concern, Kresh said, not bothering to hide his amusement. But the Vex Confederation has subdued species that blackened suns and devoured planets. We will continue to your home world. Chen nodded slowly. As you wish. I've fulfilled my obligation to warn you. What happens next is on your head. As the transmission ended, Kresh turned to his fleet commander. Continue to the 3rd planet. Maximum sensors. Let's see these defenders. As the fleet approached Earth, their scans revealed a planet with extensive evidence of civilization, cities, infrastructure, artificial satellites, but strangely, very few life signs. Curious, Kresh muttered. Where are they? Population centers appear largely abandoned, Admiral, reported the science officer. Detecting small pockets of human life signs scattered across the planet, mostly in remote areas. There's evidence of a massive exodus or catastrophe approximately 300 cycles ago. A dying species that abandoned their home world, Kresh concluded. No wonder they hide behind warnings and empty threats. The fleet entered Earth orbit without incident. No defense systems activated. No weapons fired. The planet seemed to sleep beneath them, its cities empty monuments to a civilization in decline. Begin surface scans, Kresh ordered. Identify their technological capabilities and any resources of value. The ship spread into formation, powerful scanners penetrating deep into the planet's crust. For several hours, they mapped the abandoned cities and cataloged technology that seemed primitive by Vex standards. Admiral, called the science officer suddenly, her voice tight. I'm detecting energy spikes beneath the surface. Multiple locations, all activating simultaneously. Kresh frowned. Natural phenomena. No, sir. They appear to be. Her words were cut short as alarms blared across the bridge. Beneath them, the seemingly dead planet was awakening. Deep underground facilities hummed to life. Dormant satellites in orbit suddenly powered up, and in the oceans, massive structures began to rise. Evasive maneuvers, Kresh shouted as energy readings spiked across their sensors. Too late. From the planet's surface, brilliant beams of light shot upward, enveloping 3 Vex vessels before they could react. The ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist, disintegrated at the molecular level. Impossible, breathed Thrix. The command screen flickered, and a new face appeared, another human. This one with darker skin and eyes that reflected no fear, only calculated determination. This is Commander Elena Reyes of Earth Defense Force, the human said calmly. You were warned, Admiral Kresh. The Mars colony fulfilled their obligation. Now you face the consequences of your arrogance. Kresh snarled, baring sharp teeth. What trickery is this? Your world appears abandoned. Appearances, said Reyes with a slight smile, were meant to deceive. We left the cities centuries ago, retreating underground and into the seas. We knew someday the stars would bring predators to our door. So we prepared and waited. Around the Vex fleet, more massive structures were rising from Earth's oceans, weapon platforms the size of cities, their technology unlike anything in the Confederation's database. You have one opportunity, Reyes continued. Retreat beyond Neptune's orbit immediately, or be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to decide. As the transmission ended, Kresh turned to his officers, their faces reflecting the impossible situation unfolding around them. Prepare all weapons, he ordered. No primitive species threatens the Vex Confederation. But as his officers rushed to comply, the tactical display told the horrifying truth. More Vex ships were vanishing, caught in webs of energy that seemed to bypass their advanced shields. Their weapons fired back, plasma bolts and antimatter missiles striking Earth's surface, only to be absorbed by shimmering barriers that appeared at the points of impact. Admiral, Thrix said quietly. Their technology. It's beyond ours. Kresh stared at the view screen, watching as the human defenses methodically eliminated his fleet. The defenders of Earth hadn't merely prepared for war. They had spent centuries creating weapons specifically designed to counter any spacefaring threat. And the Vex, in their arrogance, had ignored the warning. As the 5-minute deadline approached, Kresh faced the most difficult decision of his long career. Around him, his mighty fleet, pride of the Confederation, was being systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Signal retreat, he ordered through clenched teeth. All vessels withdraw beyond Neptune's orbit. As the surviving ships fled, Kresh watched the blue-green planet recede on his view screen. The humans had remained hidden, letting the galaxy believe their world was abandoned. an elaborate trap for whoever came calling. And the Vex had stepped right into it. Reckoning Day. Commander Elena Reyes stood within the central chamber of Earth Defense Command, 3 miles beneath the surface of what had once been called the Rocky Mountains. Holographic displays surrounded her, tracking the retreating Vex vessels as they fled past Neptune. "They're regrouping at the system boundary," reported Captain James Wong, her tactical officer. 17 vessels lost, 12 damaged. They still outnumber us in ships, but they're clearly reconsidering their approach. Elena nodded, her dark eyes reflecting the blue light of the displays. 300 years ago, humanity had made the most difficult decision in its history: to disappear from sight, to retreat from the surface of their homeworld, and to prepare for the inevitable day when the galaxy would come knocking. "Project Gatekeeper status?" she asked. "All systems operational," responded Dr. Amara Singh, chief scientist of the Defense Initiative. The quantum disruption field performed even better than simulations predicted. Their ships didn't just get destroyed. The molecular bonds were completely severed. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had gambled everything on this strategy. Centuries of development, living hidden in underground habitats and secret ocean cities, while their surface civilization was systematically dismantled and allowed to appear abandoned. "They'll be back," she said. "The Vex Confederation controls 17 sectors, according to our long-range intelligence. They won't abandon their expansion plans because of one setback." "Then perhaps it's time for the second phase," suggested General Marcus Chen, Ilara's father and the military commander of Earth's forces. Elena turned to him. "Are we ready?" "We've been ready for 100 years, Commander. The question is, are you prepared to change humanity's course forever?" Elena looked at the faces around her, representatives of a humanity that had evolved beyond petty conflicts and national borders, united by the singular purpose of survival. For 10 generations, they had lived with the knowledge that someday they would need to reveal themselves to the galaxy. That day had come. "Activate Project Endgame," she ordered. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations hummed to life. On Jupiter's moons, massive energy collectors unfurled. In the asteroid belt, concealed shipyards unveiled vessels that had been under construction for decades. And beyond Neptune, where the Vex fleet regrouped, space itself began to ripple. On the bridge of the Sovereign Might, Admiral Kresh struggled to maintain order. "Status report," he barked. "Fleet integrity at 62%. "Admiral," Fricks replied, his voice strained. "But we're detecting new energy signatures throughout the system. Something's happening." The sensor officer looked up, his expression one of disbelief. "Admiral, we're detecting a spatial distortion forming around us." Before Kresh could respond, the stars outside the viewport blurred. A sensation of movement washed over the ship, though their engines were idle. When the distortion cleared, the fleet found itself in an unfamiliar location. "Where are we?" Kresh demanded. The navigation officer worked frantically at her console. "Sir, we're in orbit around their third planet again. They've somehow relocated our entire fleet." On the command screen, Commander Reyes appeared once more. "Admiral Kresh," she said, "I believe it's time we had a proper conversation." Kresh snarled. "What sorcery is this? Return us to our previous position immediately." "That won't be happening," Elena replied calmly. "You're here because we need you to understand the full situation before you report back to your Confederation." Around the Vex fleet, new ships appeared, human vessels unlike the primitive satellites they had detected earlier. These were warships, sleek and powerful, their designs unlike anything in the Vex database. 300 years ago, Elena continued, "Our long-range sensors detected your Confederation's expansion. We saw what happened to the Centauri and the Peltac worlds. We knew eventually you would reach our system." Images appeared on the screen. Vex war fleets decimating worlds, subjugating species. Rather than wait to be discovered unprepared, humanity made a choice. We would appear to abandon our world, to seem primitive and declining, while in reality we were building, preparing, advancing our technology far beyond what your Confederation has achieved. Impossible, Kresh spat. The Vex have ruled the stars for 3,000 cycles. Our technology is impressive, Alina finished for him, but limited by your assumptions about what's possible. While your civilization expanded outward, conquering and consuming, we turned inward. We mastered quantum manipulation, gravity control, and dimensional engineering. As if to emphasize her point, more human ships emerged from what appeared to be holes in space itself, wormholes, stabilized and controlled. Now, Alina said, her tone hardening, you have a choice, Admiral. You can accept that humanity is not to be conquered and return to your Confederation with a treaty proposal. Or you can continue this conflict, and we will be forced to demonstrate just how completely we can eliminate your fleet. Kresh's mind raced. In all his years commanding Vex forces, he had never encountered a species that could so thoroughly counter their military advantage. The humans had not only defended their system, but had demonstrated technologies that the Confederation's best scientists would consider impossible. And if I choose to negotiate, he asked carefully, then humanity will emerge onto the galactic stage on our terms, Alina replied. We have no interest in conquering your Confederation. Our isolation was never about fear. It was about preparation. Preparation for what? Alina's expression grew grave. There are threats in this galaxy far worse than the Vex, Admiral. Things lurking between the stars that your people haven't yet encountered. We've seen them in our deep space observations. That's why we developed these technologies, not just to protect ourselves from conquerors like you, but to prepare for something worse. Images appeared on the screen. Dark shapes moving between distant stars, consuming light itself. Kresh felt a chill run down his spine. What are those? He whispered. We call them the Void. They've already consumed 3 galaxies that we've observed. They're still distant, but they're coming. And when they arrive, the petty conquests of empires like yours will mean nothing. Understanding dawned on Kresh. The humans hadn't just been hiding. They had been watching, learning, preparing for a threat beyond anything the Confederation had imagined. You need allies, he said slowly. Alina nodded. We need the galaxy united, not fractured by Vex conquests. Your Confederation has the industrial capacity and territory we need. We have the technology to stop what's coming. Kresh considered his options. The logical choice, the survival choice, was clear. I will bring your proposal to the Confederation Council, he said finally. But they will want proof of these void creatures. We'll provide it, Alina assured him, along with technological exchanges to demonstrate our good faith. As negotiations began, the remaining Vex fleet was escorted to a stable orbit. Over the next several days, Kresh and his officers were given limited tours of Earth's facilities, enough to convince them of humanity's capabilities without revealing all their secrets. What the Vex saw astonished them. The seemingly abandoned planet was a shell, concealing a civilization that had evolved in ways the Confederation had never imagined. Vast underwater cities housed billions. Underground complexes stretched for thousands of miles. And in orbit, cloaked by advanced technology, shipyards constructed vessels capable of manipulating the fabric of space itself. 1 week later, Admiral Kresh stood again on the bridge of the Sovereign Might, preparing to return to Confederation space. Beside him stood a human diplomatic team, led by Alina Reyes herself. Your council may not believe what they hear, she warned him. Kresh's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was laughter. After what I've witnessed, they will believe, and they will fear you. Fear isn't what we want, Alina said. Respect, partnership, and preparation for what's coming. As the Vex ships prepared to depart, with human vessels accompanying them as both escorts and demonstrations of good faith, Kresh turned to Alina one last time. Your people gambled everything on this strategy, he observed. Centuries of hiding, of letting the galaxy believe you were primitive or extinct. What if we had never come? What if the warnings had worked? Elena smiled slightly. Then we would have continued preparing. And eventually, we would have come looking for you. The ships departed Earth's system, carrying with them news that would forever change the power dynamics of the galaxy. Humanity, the species that had hidden itself away, had emerged not as conquerors but as harbingers of a greater threat, and possibly the only civilization advanced enough to stop it. In the darkness between stars, the void continued its slow, inexorable approach. But now, for the first time, the galaxy might stand united against it, thanks to a warning the Vex had ignored, and the humans who had spent centuries preparing for this day. The endgame had begun.